All right. New York Jet fans, little Sunday night stream action. Recapping the combine, some articles, clippings, rumors that I've heard throughout the little bit here that I want to discuss and talk about. I want to hear your thoughts on how the week has really gone. The quarterbacks, obviously going to have some discussion about him. Cam Ward talking about wanting to play for the Jets, hope he gets the opportunity, saying all the right things. We get a coach that says he wants to play here. Now maybe we're getting a quarterback who says he wants to be here. Who knows? There's always a lot of drama at the top of the draft. Now, as far as like the quarterback stuff, the most exciting thing for me, I don't know if it's the most exciting, but a really like interesting point for me. I was really high on Jalen Milroe like a few months back. I was like, man, this guy just does everything different. He's fast. He's like, there's wow to him. There's a little bit of wow. Like total Anthony Richardson potential swing and like a miss potentially. But like this guy's like a wow factor. Then he goes to Senior Bowl and he's got like under 9-inch hands, sub 9-inch hands. Comes in at the combine. His hands have now measured out close to 9.5 inches. I think it was 9 3/8 was the official mark. And I'm like, all right, well, that's interesting. And then I see the rest of the hand sizes of the other quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, both having 9-inch hands. It's crazy to me. I think it was Dart's 9-inch hand? I'm pretty sure Dart's was 9-inch hand. Hold on, now I got to look this up. I was like dumbfounded. No, sorry. Jackson Dart had the second biggest at 9.5. But guys like Cam Ward and Will Howard, both down at 9 inches. Howard had himself a rough combine. Not a fun combine for him. Sanders, 9 3/8 inch. No issues there as far as hand size. McCord, 9.5 inches. 9 inches is kind of like that mark for like where everyone goes south at quarterback. Like Kenny Pickett's got 8.5-inch hands. It shows in the NFL. Fumbled all the time in college, fumbled all the time in the NFL. Everyone else, kind of coming in over that mark. Seth Hennigan, but really Will Howard and Cam Ward were kind of the two that sort of did not have a great hand size measurement. Now, it's not everything, right? It's all about how you use them. How you use them. I don't know. It's interesting, though, because then we also heard Charles London, Jets quarterback coach, pull Jalen Milroe aside. Like, seriously? While the other quarterbacks are doing drills or running, Jets quarterback coach is pulling him aside, having some conversations. I don't know. It's interesting. It's certainly interesting. Not to mention, there's a lot to the Milroe stuff in my mind, like some certain connections, right? Like, we heard from Connor Hughes that the Jets are most likely to go after a veteran quarterback in the free agent market in that like second tier down. So you're talking about Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota, and Carson Wentz. Now, when I think of those quarterbacks, I think mobile for sure. Obviously, the league is trending mobile, so I think that's where you'd want to see your quarterback go regardless. But man, could you imagine if they decide to take a swing on Milroe after seeing Jalen Hurts win a Super Bowl this year? That would be ballsy. Jalen Milroe is either going to win you a ton of games or he's going to be the reason you get fired. I feel like there's no in between with him. Really exciting player. I guess his military background family, I guess his family's got some military background. I don't know if his dad was in the military. I could see that being an appeal of someone like a Parcellian type lineage that would be Aaron Glenn. Now, he's his own coach, but there's influence there. Nick Saban clearly liked Milroe. Saban's got close ties to obviously Belichick and to Parcells and that whole tree. Could there be a situation where the personality of Milroe just fits with what the Jets and Aaron Glenn are looking to do? Now, the second part of the whole Fields, Wentz, Mariota conversation was that the Jets might be considering a day 2 quarterback pick in conjunction with adding one of these quarterbacks. And I think that's all right with me because I don't think it necessarily prevents you from going a quarterback in 2026 if like something didn't really work out. But I like that kind of swing. Now, maybe that sort of pushes the dream of Jordan Travis potentially being the savior of the franchise out of the picture here. I've said this multiple times. I think I would love to see him get an opportunity, but I'm not gonna put any eggs in that basket. He's kind of like if something happens, boom, great, fantastic, perfect problem to have. But I don't think you can really go all in. But man, Milroe would be friggin' fun. That would be an absolute blast to watch. I mean, who says that can't win in the NFL? We saw Jalen Hurts literally win a Super Bowl this year. If you can let the kids sit, let them learn, got to try and read a defense. That's been the big knock. Can't read defenses. And when he can't run, everything kind of breaks down. He had a beautiful throw against air at the combine. I think he had 1 or 2 underthrows as well. It's not all butterflies and rainbows. Man, it would be a fun swing. Aside from that, Jets talking about the potential number 1 pick. Apparently, the Jets have called up to inquire about what that would cost. It seems like it's all preliminary. There's no no urgency. I don't know. Urgency is not the right word, but it doesn't seem like there's many legs or much to the Jets coming up to number 1 other than just like, hey, is the pick available? What would it cost? Just sort of understanding the dynamics, both for you and other teams around you that are potentially looking to come up to that number 1 pick, and what guys might be looking to come up and spend should some player fall to you at number 7, I guess. Now, granted, the number 1 pick should not be falling to you at number 7, but I think it's important to do the due diligence. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, interesting conversations. Obviously, the Mel Kiper mock draft had Shedeur going to the Jets at number 7, right? Passed on the Raiders. I don't know if I see that happening. That, to me, feels like it would be pretty surprising to see. Boys and girls, before I get too far into this, I do want to thank the sponsor of the channel, BetUS. Head over to BetUS, get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Put a little money on where you think Aaron Rodgers may end up for next season. I'm seeing AI images of like him and Dable in the jungle doing ayahuasca and whatnot. Maybe that's where he ends up. Maybe he ends up with our crosstown rivals. I don't think I know a Jet fan or a Giant fan that I'm friends with that is like optimistic of that potential outcome. But who knows? Maybe that's maybe you can get some money on that before the lines change. Now, obviously, the Steelers still seem to be the favorite at the clubhouse, but head over to BetUS, put a little money, a little skin in the game, if you would. Thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. Now, some other conversations that I've seen per Connor Hughes. Sherwood going to have a robust free agent market. We all kind of knew that. I think a lot of Jet fans have sort of resigned themselves to the thought of Sherwood leaving and going to either the 49ers or Atlanta, just kind of following their former defensive guys. I would love to see an opportunity to retain Sherwood. I just don't get the feeling that's what's going to happen. From the people I know that are in the building, he apparently doesn't love like the weather up in New Jersey or just New Jersey in general. So it wouldn't shock me if he wound up leaving. Now, if the Jets are the top offer, maybe that's enough to just keep him around. I like to see him hang out here. And then Oliver, the nickel corner / safety flexibility, played with Wilkes in San Francisco. I could see the Jets retaining him and trying to at least have some sort of depth and a little bit of insurance for Michael Carter should something happen in the secondary. So keep an eye on those. And then we all kind of figured Reed would be on his way out. You know, obviously he's excited to hit free agency. We heard that before even the end of the season. Even with some of the rumors of like, oh, he likes the Aaron Glenn hiring and whatnot, I think he's as good as gone. And it appears Conklin is also set to leave. We knew he was a free agent. Jets definitely need tight end help. Jets were looking at tight ends during Combine Week. I think Tyler Warren is squarely in play. I think Fannin Jr. I think Terrence Ferguson. I mean, Loveland. The list goes on. Arroyo, who was at the Senior Bowl, that really did really well. Now, I don't believe he worked out. I think he just did his measurables. Lots of good tight ends in this class. So I'm curious to see where the Jets ultimately go on all this. So let's see. I'll go through some of your comments as we are going through here. Let's see. Chase says, I'm here. We're glad to have you. Duncan, any lineman who did a somersault at the end is worth drafting, right? Anything that does a somersault. That's some agile guys. Now, I believe only one offensive lineman, was it Campbell, that broke the 5-second mark in the 40? Not sure if that necessarily matters. Jet says Mariota would be the 707 wants Mariota. Isaiah says Jalen Milroe's hands are NFL ready. That's what I'm talking about. Coming over 9-inch hands. 9-inch hand. The difference in like the half an inch was all that mattered. He wasn't NFL draft worthy prior. Now maybe he is. Ridiculous. I know the whole hand thing gets people worked up, but I'm a believer in the sub 9-inch hands is not great. Not a good thing. It would be beating the historical trends if you did do that. Senior Bowl almost killed his draft stock. Yeah, I mean, that's really what I thought he was a first-round pick prior to the Senior Bowl, and then once I saw like the hand size, I was like, there's no way he's gonna go in the first. Now I think he is. I wish he did run. I'm a little upset he didn't run, but he doesn't really need to. The guy's blazing fast. They better not try to sell us on Wentz or Mariota. No, Wentz or Mariota. I mean, look, I think for me, Fields is the more attractive option because he has youth on his side compared to Mariota and Wentz. But if we're being real honest, I think all three of those are pretty similar tiered quarterbacks. Ryan, love you, brother. Let's go. Brian, I love you too. Thank you for hanging out. Christian does not want to see Carson Wentz. I mean, we talked about Carson Wentz prior to like Aaron Rodgers, or like immediately after Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and then it's weird that it's like now this might potentially be a thing. Be a little frustrating. Wish he would have run the 40. Got to be at least 4.4. I'm curious to see if Milroe decides to run the 40 at his pro day, or if he's just going to kind of omit it altogether. Lamar never ran a 40. I would have loved to have seen Lamar run. Stanley says, I wouldn't take Milroe before the end of the third round, maybe in the 5th. Oh, man. I would definitely take Milroe. If he were there in the 3rd, I'd run up to the podium. I like him a lot. Now, if you're out on Milroe, you're just kind of out on Milroe anyway. I don't think he gets past the 2nd round. I think the top of the 2nd is probably where you see him go. Somewhere like the Browns, maybe the Raiders. Honestly, tail end of the 1st, it wouldn't even shock me. So I don't think he's going that far down. Milroe in the 2nd round would be an interesting option. If you get Milroe, who would you get in the 1st? Probably McMillan or Mike Green. Jet fan love affair, Mason Graham. A lot of Jet fans really like him. Not a great combine. Coming in way lighter, way smaller than his measurements at Michigan had him. Maybe he falls a little bit. Jets don't wind up taking him. Then what happens? McMillan didn't run the 40. That's going to be some drama stuff too. Even though Drake London didn't do it. I still think the guy's going to get drafted pretty high. You say Dart is your top guy. A lot of people really like Dart. Dart probably had the best combine of all the quarterbacks. Him and Milroe. Milroe purely because of the hand size thing. I think outside of that, like clearing that up, I feel like was probably a big bump for him. Who knows what happens with Dart, man. He's wild. Stanley doesn't want to see any picks given up for Ward or Sanders. Wimmy says, new GM, new head coach, and nobody knows what the Jets are up to. Every mock is all over the place. Yeah, I mean, even the Jet fans themselves, like usually we have a pretty good read on what our team's going to do. We are probably in the most best player available spot that I've seen in like a long time. Like literally just take the best possible player. Could you wind up with a quarterback? I mean, it's possible. I just don't know. We don't know what their type is. Not really, at least. There's so many different philosophies. You try to see what like the Lions and the Saints had done, what Parcells might have considered at his time, and maybe positions that he felt were important that Glenn might align with. Like it's all projection at this point until we get something more. Glenn said he's going to make more moves. that piss people off, trading to number one coming. I mean, look, he's going to make moves that are going to piss players off on this team and maybe some fans, but he's going to do what he thinks is in the best interest of the team. And I hope we're on the winning side of this. Beastbore says, heard Milroe did well during the Jets quarterback workout he did on the side when the quarterbacks were running. I didn't hear how he did. I heard that he was talking with Charles London on the side as the quarterbacks were running, and I really do like that. I mean, heck, anytime any of these kids look good and the Jets have some sort of link to them, it's like at least trending in the right direction. I don't know if that's going to be the correct pick or not, but man, it would be friggin' fun as hell. Zachary says, I think trading up to number one is a smokescreen for our Jets. I think we draft Kyle McCord. McCord and Milroe are kind of the two that I've kind of landed on. Will Howard having like a dog shit combine has definitely hurt his stock, in my opinion, which is a little silly considering it's in shorts and whatnot, but like you're also playing with some of the best talent in the country. So if you can't show out in like a standalone sort of situation, like that's kind of concerning too. But McCord, you take him, Jet fan from PA, I can get on board with that. Duncan Sanders scares me since he has only had his dad as a coach for years. Yeah, but the confidence level and like how he's handled himself at the combine, I'm like less concerned. I think if anything, he's probably grounded a little bit more. Deion's not like a fluff you up kind of dude. Like he's going to tell you how it is. I don't know. I'm not upset with Sanders. If Sanders did happen to make it to 7, my biggest question would be, why did the Raiders and Tom Brady, who's his quarterback coach in the offseasons, pass on him? That would be the biggest red flag for me than anything else. Jets Ward, trade back 𝐂𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐿 in the first, Milroe later on. That could be exciting offense. I would be down with this. The more I like watch the top of this draft, the more I like the idea of trading down. McMillan is kind of the guy I've wanted to get, but I've heard different mix of scouts say like, oh, top guy, maybe not, top 12 guy, whatever. I would like McMillan. But if you told me I could get a second round pick and get 𝐂𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐿 and then take like a Milroe and someone else in the second, like, oh man, that would be a fun friggin' offense to have. Feels like we draft a tight end every year. I don't think we did last year, right? Our last tight end pick would have been Jeremy Ruckert. So it's been a while. I feel like we're always mocked to take a tight end. Zachary says, I really think we draft Tyler Warren at 7. I mean, you sort of get a little bit of protection and a little bit of player, place skill position player in one shot. So it's kind of a 2 birds, 1 stone. We messed up the tank for Trevor. Braden Mann, oh my God. Yes. Brutal. I hated Braden Mann. I still do. Look, I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be anything great, but man, that win hurt. Kevin, I hope the Jets don't move up to the number 1 pick. It's going to cost us too much in draft capital, and we have a lot of holes to fill this year and next year. I just don't think Cam Ward's worth trading up that far. That's kind of my issue. Not enough guys are talking about Riley Leonard. That's the Penn State dude, isn't it? Let's see. How did he do? Per the Irish Star. So take the source for what it is. Boosted his 2025 draft stock in a positive way. Was one of 13 quarterbacks who accepted the invitation. Made the most of his opportunities with his many throws. Currently viewed as a mid-round pick, but a lot can happen between now and April 24th when the draft gets underway. Unlike certain, boost his chances turning up to Saturday's session, unlike certain Shedeur Sanders, who turned down the invitation to throw in front of cameras. The former Colorado quarterback thinks he should be the number 1 overall pick. It's hard to disagree with him given he led college football with a 74% completion percentage. Leonard's latest appearance follows up his impressive showing at the Senior Bowl last month, where he completed 6 of 7 passes, 54 yards, despite experiencing heartbreak in the college football playoff final. The Fighting Irish just 12 days prior. Since then, he's been honing his technique. One thing to showcase, ball down the field. Guess I'll have to watch more on him. I don't know where I want the Jets to go. Like, how high of a pick are you trying to invest in a quarterback? Jets trade up to get Cam Ward, says 𝐂𝐻𝐿. I don't want to see that happen. Fields has never had good quarterback coaching. I mean, I don't think he has, but you also need to look at what he's done on the field. So I like the gamble of Fields more than anything else. I really do. He only has 9-inch hands. He won't last in the cold. Talking about Cam Ward, I believe. It's our time, boys. Draft buzz is in the air. That's right, Jacob. Fields is dual threat, better than Wentz and Mariota. He's also a lot younger. Like, there's more shot that he turns into something that, like, Wentz and Mariota haven't been. What if we trade back with Dallas, get another second, and at 12 we get Warren, then use one of our seconds for Milroe? I'd be down with that. I like the trade down situations. Fields is the best option. Youth and potential. We could get a Sam or Geno. Genie in a bottle. Would be really nice. I want to be on the receiving end of, like, second chance quarterbacks. I would really like our original third rounder right now. Glad we wasted our third and didn't trade DJ and won all those meaningless games to fall out of the number 2 pick. Yeah, look, I think Reed probably should have been traded. It's tough, though, because the Jets weren't technically eliminated yet. So, like, you're in this weird flux of, like, okay, do you punt on the season right now while you have Aaron Rodgers and all these other guys? And I don't know. Jets were in a tough spot. Did anyone see Will Howard at the Combine? His accuracy was terrible. He had one of the worst quarterback performances I've seen in some time at the Combine. He did not help his stock at all. Did Quinn Ewers move you anywhere? Does Quinn Ewers move you anywhere he played all last season? Hurt. He was supposed to be number 1 quarterback. I'm not super high on Ewers. Maybe there was an injury that prevented him from playing to the level that, like, maybe I wanted to see. I don't know. I'm not an Ewers guy. I thought he should have stayed in college one more year. Go, like, transfer to a new school or something. Not really sure how to feel about Dart. Completely out on Ewers, Will, and McCourty, though. McCord. I like McCord. McCord, like, gets me excited. I wish he was a dual threat, though. Apparently his, like, processing speed is, like, stupid good. I'd be on board with that. Green Bean dreams of a new tight end every year. He does. He's our tight end guy. Matt, what day 2 quarterback do you think we take? And thoughts on Hughes saying we will most likely go after Juwan Johnson, Derek Barnes, and Tim Patrick. I'm fine with that slate of free agents. I think that's a fine move. As far as day 2 quarterback goes, I think McCord is up there. I think Milroe is up there. I haven't seen us linked to anyone else. I think Dart's going to go higher than our 2nd round pick. I mean, I think Milroe's going to go higher than our 2nd round pick too. But those would probably be the guys that immediately jump to the front of my mind. Milroe sounds like a Jets quarterback. I like Ward's energy, though. Milroe and the style of personality that I think Aaron Glenn likes, based on what Saban likes and Belichick and Parcells, Milroe does seem to fit that bill. And London pulling him aside to talk to him a little bit more during the 40 is an interesting thing to hear. I would love to, like, drill down a little bit more on that and see where where more rumors could potentially pop out over the coming weeks. Beastboard, Dart scares me since he never goes under center and his footwork isn't good. I like Milroe a lot, even though he's raw, but he broke Hurts records at the top of the SEC school, which isn't easy. Milroe to me is just, he's different. He's a different kind of player. I understand why people don't like him if you're in that traditional quarterback mode, but like, I really think based on how Hurts won a Super Bowl this year, if you can allow Milroe some time and you think you can teach him, coach him up. I mean, heck, if Engstrand was able to coach up Milroe, he would write his ticket anywhere because Milroe is seen as this raw, non-passer kind of quarterback. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to roll the dice that high on someone, though. Free agency will change every mock. I don't know how much it will, though. Maybe some of the mid to late round picks. Free agency will change other teams' mocks more than I think the Jets' projected players of interest. I think where the Jets fall this year is more of a best player available situation, and I don't think we're going after any like concrete young starters in free agency. I think a safety is probably about as high as you'd go on a contract, and that doesn't strike me as a round one selection for the Jets. I mean, I could see a situation where like Starks is considered, but I could see that with or without signing a safety too. Like I don't think it dictates our draft so much as it dictates maybe other players' drafts or other teams' drafts. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. John says, I really like Ward and Jackson Dart. F it. Let's get that first pick. If it's not, let's take Dart. Kid can throw. We have a bridge quarterback in Taylor. Let him start the year. I mean, if you really like Jackson Dart, 7's probably going to be where you have to take him. You can't like assume you're going to trade into the back end of the first or get him in the second round. If the Jets pull the trigger on a quarterback at 7, I understand. It's the most important position on the field. I don't love any one particular quarterback here, but honestly, I don't love the entire draft. I think the entire draft from like our pick through the second round, you could almost slot in any player to like any team. And I feel like there's a wide variety of like rankings. You could talk me into a few different positions. Wimmy, Ryan, it might be a good idea not to host an in-person draft party. Potential Jets draft fans suffering heart attacks this year. Yeah, I mean, if you're really not gung-ho on a quarterback and we take a quarterback, I think the most shocking pick to me at number 7 would be if the Jets took like Milroe or like Jackson Dart. If they took one of those two quarterbacks, I think I'd be like, oh, wow, they mean business. Something's happening. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but man, something's happening. Kev says, how would you trade, or maybe what would you trade for Breece Hall? This is a copycat league. Everyone's going to look for the next Saquon. I'm not trading Breece Hall. I would not trade Breece Hall. I would even go so far as to say, like, I'm planning on franchise tagging him in 2026. I would not move him. Not in the first year of a new regime. Team trade back, take a quarterback in the second. I like trading down. If Jerry wants to trade up for the running back and we could trade down to 12, that's probably my most ideal move. Sam wants to draft Dart in the late first round. I think you're going to see teams start to like him, higher than that. Some of these back-end teams, the Steelers potentially. You got to be careful when you start playing the trade down game and trying to take a quarterback. You're almost better just taking the quarterback where you sit rather than get cute with it. Ted prefers Ewers over Milroe. I do not align with that. I don't like Ewers. Jaregs, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Armand Membu? Natural right tackle and has had a 9.82 RAS, which is good for 26 out of 1,379 offensive tackles tested. think he could easily, I think he could be a sneaky good player to plug in a position of need. So when is he supposed to be drafted? Let's see. Let's go to the big board. So they're projecting him. Oh, man. So NBC Sports has him as the 9th best player. NFL.com 11th. Sports Illustrated 11th. McShay 14th. I would say only in a trade down would I be thinking tackle. I honestly don't want the Jets to spend a first-round pick on an offensive lineman. I think we've spent far too many top 2-round picks on offensive linemen, and I prefer us to find offensive guys, offensive linemen in particular, in the mid to late rounds. Every team has one. We don't. I like Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College. I've been high on him for the last few months. He was the guy I wanted to trade up for in the 3rd round to go get. If he falls to us to the 3rd, that's my pick all day. And I'm running up to the podium. Jets fan says, I'm not judging Will Howard after a stupid combine. Yes, it was ugly, but when you flip the tape on, he can play. He can make every throw in-game speed. That's all that matters. Plus, he is a champ. So, all valid points. Maybe it's just a pressure thing. I'm sure they'll look at him at his pro day too a lot. The private workouts, how he interacts there is going to be big. This is more for fans to like just get overly gung-ho or overly like pessimistic about about players in shorts. Although you're supposed to be playing better at this point. That's I think the most concerning part about this. Jet 707 says, Membu is a freak, totally in play at 7. Correction, he ran a 4.91. His floor is the 49ers pick. I just don't want to spend that much on an offensive lineman. If it rounds it out, fine, but I don't really want to do that. Milroe sounds too much like Milner. Stop it. John, is re-signing Conklin out of the question? Why not get him for another year or two to fill tight end depth? He's pretty good. I like him. I'd be open to him returning. According to Connor Hughes, Reed and Conklin, it seems like both are moving on. So that's more of the insider stuff thinking that than how I feel. You can't overhype a player when he has a great combine. You also can't write off a player when he has a bad combine. All you need to do is watch tape. The combine doesn't mean shit other than in-person meet. So, yes and no. I think there's certain attributes that do need to be taken into consideration. Like tackles having shorter arms than 32 inches generally means they're going to be a guard at the next level. Not all the time, but generally means they're going to be a guard. Quarterbacks with 9-inch hands or lower. 9 inches is like kind of the floor you want to see in the NFL. When you look at all quarterbacks' hands across the NFL, that's just sort of like the average, right? Like anything less than that number, you're gambling on, oh, this guy's going to be against the norm. He's going to be the guy that overcomes that. So I think there are some things you can learn from the combine. I agree the performance side of things, like, oh, he threw great to open air. Like Milroe throwing a bomb down the sideline and landing it perfectly, that he's not reading a defense for that. So like that's a little bit of smoke and mirrors. At the same time, Will Howard missing dudes on routes that like he knows where they're going to be and there's no defenders, like maybe it's just nerves, but you certainly should be performing at a better clip than that. I do think the in-persons will be important for all the quarterbacks in particular. SG says, I hope we get Justin Fields. I'm on board with Justin Fields. That would be A-okay with me. I'm so nervous about this new regime. I've seen it over and over now. Yeah, every new regime we get just kind of implodes. Hopefully this one's different, right? Outlaw says I would absolutely take Milroe if he falls to the 3rd, maybe even the 2nd. I would endorse the pick of Milroe. I don't know when you would take him, but I would be fine with doing it. Outlaw, he's very dangerous. He's as fast like Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson. Yeah, he's just got to have the arm, right? Like, Lamar is a filthy quarterback. Like, even in college, he was deadly accurate. That's just not Milroe's game yet. He's more of like a Jalen Hurts. Can there be a bidding war for Breece Hall? We can't extend Sauce, JJ, Garrett, and Hall. No, but I think we could franchise Hall. And I'd rather roll with Hall for a year, see if he could be a key part of this offense moving forward, and then re-sign him long-term, or have him be a stud, find out we can't re-sign him, franchise tag him, and then either move him or keep him for a year and then figure out after that. I don't think you have to lose him. Warren or Tet McMillan, either one. McMillan would be the guy I'd want to lean with more just because I like a lot more tight ends in this class, but I wouldn't be upset with either pick. G5 won't be happy with Milroe. I mean, if he's going to be happy with like Justin Fields, like I don't see why Milroe would be any kind of concern. If we take Dart, I'm okay with taking 1 year off NFL. He's too much like Zach Wilson. If the Jets take a quarterback, no matter who it is, you're just going to hold your breath and hope it works out. That's really what it is. Just take Starks and secure safety for the next 3 to 5 years. Man, I like what Jets is saying here. Nick Mwenwori has way better tape and measurables. He's a stud. His metrics were off the charts at the combine, and his tape looks really good. Really, really good. Seeing ghosts. Are the Jets going to be bad enough to get a top quarterback next year? Is a year in the NFL enough to make it worth? Is a year in the NFL enough to make it worth to take Milroe this year when next year's crop of quarterbacks is supposed to be better? I don't think you should pass on a quarterback prospect if you like him at the pick you're making the selection at. We did that with Watson and Mahomes because we were looking at the 2018 draft. I don't want to do that. That being said, if you are not sold on one of these quarterbacks, I would agree entirely with you. I would say hold off. And I don't even need to be a top, I don't need to be a bad team next year. Like, I want to win as many games as possible, with whoever the quarterback is, Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, whoever it is. Win as many games as you can. And I'm more likely to want to trade up to go get a quarterback next year than invest too much in a quarterback you don't believe in. I hope that makes sense. This is a fantastic running back class, and the running back is a position that doesn't take long to acclimate. I don't see why anyone would trade for Breece Hall when you can get a guy with less wear and tear. Yeah, I don't think Hall has great trade value right now. I think you want to build that up this year. Sharon says, trade back to 12, get an extra second, take Warren, Watts, and Tyleik Williams, 3 starters. That would be studly. The more I sit here, the more I just want to trade down and get an additional second. More dart throws. Of the name young guys on the team, I see Sauce being the likely odd man out for a second contract. No way. His contract's going to be the easiest of all the contracts to get done. It's just going to be, hey, what's the top quarterback contract? Let's roll. Why I'm getting a call at 11 o'clock at night. Gonna let that go to voicemail. Watch out for the Steelers in the draft this year. Could definitely see them taking Milroe in the first. I think they're the most likely team to take him in the first. I think they've been dealing with Lamar Jackson for so long, and the type of quarterback that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields were kind of maybe sort of, in the mold of. Like that to me screams a Steelers pick. Craig thinks Membu is the top tackle in this class. Great measurables. Man, I don't know. I don't hear a lot about McCord. Why is he not? Why not? Is he asked? Some people like Jordan Palmer said he's a beast. Did he work out of the combine? He did work out of the combine, and he's a Jet fan. Like, that's the player to keep an eye on for me. Fast processing, maybe similar to like a Jared Goff in that respect. I'm not sure where he goes. It seems like fans are super polarized on him. Like, they're like, oh, he's like a mid to late round pick. And then there's like, oh no, he's middle round. And then it's like, okay, now you hear more Jordan Palmer. And then you hear, how he did at the Shrine Bowl. He beat Cam Ward this past year. I'm on board. If you wanted to make that pick, I'd be fine with that. Watched every Syracuse football game, and McCord single-handedly carried them. He's a special passer. Look at his profile compared to Goff. Very similar. I think Engstrom would like him a lot. Oh, look at that. I didn't even see that comment. We're preaching the same thing. I'm on board. That's the day 2 pick for me. I think because I don't think you can gamble on Milroe being there, but I think McCord should be. I can live with an offensive tackle in the first round, having 60% of our offensive line on cheap contracts, only really worrying about paying guards the next 2 years. I won't complain about that. I just don't want to burn so many top draft picks on offensive linemen. Like, we got to be able to hit on some guys in the middle rounds. I want to trade back, beef up some picks, take McCord at quarterback or a quarterback of that caliber in the second. Yeah, and then if you were in a situation where it's like a Jimmy Clausen scenario and you're like, oh, wow, we got a top draft pick in 2026, or even like a Josh Rosen situation and you get a top draft pick and you take Kyler Murray the next year, like, I think going second round, while it's a high investment, you get a year of seeing like, okay, is this guy the dude before maybe investing heavily in another opportunity? Once again, Dillon Gabriel is the man. I do like Dillon Gabriel. He'd be another name to look at. He's just super small. Did he have the best of the Senior Bowl quarterback things? I'm pretty sure he did. Dregs bring it up again. McCord outdueled Cam Ward with a far inferior team. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye. You will repeat history over and over again with no new results. What are you doing? That's taking a rookie quarterback with a young GM and a young head coach. It's just what we do, right? Just take a quarterback with every pick. One has to work out, right? Right? Yeah, we have 7, 8 picks in this draft. Just let's take all the quarterbacks. We'll take them all. Why not? B-Sports saw reports Milroe had a really good interview and has a high football IQ. Yeah, I'm telling you, I think there's something to this. The fact that the Jets are like sniffing around Fields, Mariota, and Wentz, and then working Milroe out on the side, which is weird to me, right? Like Milroe feels like it fits that similar potential mindset, but also I could see McCord being the pick, which is like the polar opposite of what Milroe is. Ugh. I don't know. Milroe's a turnover machine. Milroe's a running back. Dude can't throw. Yeah, but just like run. Like just score points, right? Oh, man, I don't know. He'd be exciting. You could tell Will Howard was nervous. He was not finishing his throws. I'm also not saying Howard should start day 1. He needs a year to sit, but the kid has everything you want. I mean, literally any quarterback that you take this year, like even if it's Cam Ward, like I would want this guy to sit the entirety of the first year, or at least till like the back half of the second round. I like Tet. I just don't know if he's worth the 7th overall pick. I mean, that's why the trade down option is interesting. Because if you can get Ibuka and a second, or even if like Tet slides a little bit, who knows? Even Warren, like that, you're kind of in a position to get a number of different guys that would fulfill that pass catcher role for you. And if you can add another high pick, I think that's probably the play. Watch the Auburn-Alabama game. You would never touch Milroe. Yes, we can, Milroe. Give him a year to sit and learn, then draft a guy next year and make them compete for starter. I mean, if you're going to draft a guy in 2026, like high, you probably, I guess you sort of have them compete, but like you also probably look at trading one at some point. Gun to your head. Out of Hall, Sauce, JJ, and Garrett, who do you trade first? I mean, it's going to be Hall. Like that's it. I just don't want to move any of these guys for 2 years. Like exercise the 5th year options on all the first round picks and franchise Hall for a year. And then I would rework Garrett's deal and Sauce's deal. Sauce is going to be an easy contract to figure out. JJ balls out, re-sign him. And then if you can't keep Hall, it's a franchise tag and then, go from there. I think that's sort of where you're leaning. Man, people are obsessed with trading a few good young players. We have. Yeah, no, I don't want to trade anyone. Not for a lottery ticket that we're hoping to get a good player on. That would suck. Like to get McMillan in the first round and Mason Taylor in the second round. Get down with that. McCord is from Jersey. I thought McCord was from Pennsylvania and he was just a Jet fan. Maybe his family's from Jersey. I'm pretty sure he grew up in Pennsylvania. I thought I saw that somewhere. But he's had the Sanchez jersey. He's a Jet fan. Facing reality, we can't keep them all. So get the most we can and give Aaron Glenn more picks. I mean, I think we're going to have so much money. I think you can find a way to do it. Don't get rid of your best players for lottery tickets. Eddie says, draft show. In the second round, McShay, Reddick, Cosell called him a no-brainer to draft. Trapillo in the third, McCord in the fourth. Yes, sign me up. Let's do it. If Milroe has a high football IQ, why does he struggle reading defenses and going through progressions? I don't know. High football IQ feels like a catch-all term for guys that are good at football in general. That doesn't necessarily mean processing power or like making the right reads. I don't know. I mean, I guess they should be able to make the right reads. Like high IQ should mean you're making more correct things than not. If we take a quarterback in the second, I still don't think they will want to take a first-round quarterback next year. They take this year, probably not going to be in play. Yeah, if you take a quarterback in the second, it is a pretty high investment unless you find yourself in a really, really advantageous situation next year. Or the guy in the second just looks so bad that you're ready to move off of him. I think the goal for most of us is that this rookie doesn't play very long next year. Like it's all Tyrod. Let the kid sit. And then if that's the case, then you probably don't have that. McCann is from Mount Laurel. I think you mean McCord, right? From Mount Laurel? Didn't he go to... I could have sworn I saw something about him being in Pennsylvania at some point. Milroe can't throw, overshoots everything. They might be able to mold him. I know Dom's going to hate me if I manifest Milroe to the Jets. It would be so much fun. It really would. All right, before we get too crazy far, I do just want to thank the other sponsor of tonight's show, and that is Chubby's. Spring is almost here, so it's time to shake off those heavy layers and bust out those beautiful thighs, gentlemen. Whether you're on spring break, heading to a backyard barbecue, playing around in golf, or delivering a podcast ad read, Chubby's has the styles for any spring occasion. With a variety of bright and comfortable polos and high-quality, thigh-exposing shorts, Chubby's has the styles to fit whatever spring vibe you're going for. Taking a well-deserved spring vacation, Chubby's has the ultimate training shorts for you. Looking for a more casual, comfortable fit for an outdoor brunch or a walk in the park? Chubby's original shorts give you that classic feel with that modern look. And get this, they've got eyewear everywhere. I say this every time I jack this up. They've even got everywhere shorts designed for performance and casual vibes at the same time. Maybe miracles are possible. Let's face it, you deserve a wardrobe upgrade for springtime, so sweeten the deal. For a limited time, Chubby's is giving my listeners 20% off your order with the exclusive promo code JetsTalk20 at chubbyshorts.com. Head over to chubbyshorts.com. Use your promo code. Use my promo code. JetsTalk20. Help support the show. Thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. Link in the description down below. Words can be hard sometimes when it's 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. Wild Wave says, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't want Teroa McMillan. Glenn expresses how much he wants speed. Yeah, and McMillan not running the 40, probably not helping his game. His MO is not really speed. His game speed is fine, but he's not really that burner that you think of, like a Jameson Williams. 𝐒𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐿 sounds like a fancy drink. It does. Jimmy, if you take a quarterback in the first or second, you're basically wasting that pick this year since he is sitting a year. Yeah, but you're hoping to not waste it for the future, right? Like that's just part of the whole thing. How long do you think we keep Ruckert? I think he's here for this year, and then if he doesn't show out, he's gone. This is his last year, right? His fourth year in his contract. If you don't get your guy at quarterback in the draft this year, just build the team up for your quarterback next year. I just really hope they don't reach this year, man. Yeah, don't reach for a quarterback that you don't love. If you love a guy, take him. If you don't love him, pass till next year. Mount Laurel, New Jersey. All right, you know what? Now I feel like I'm making a... let's see. Who is it that I'm thinking of then? I know he's from New Jersey. I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe I saw something and just attributed it to him. Hackenberg vibes. No, don't say that. Oh, there we go. Rico. McCord grew up in Jersey. He went to high school in Pennsylvania. That's okay. I thought I wasn't going crazy there. Do the Jets ever have a game where they sign autographs? Maybe afterwards. Never gotten an autograph from a game itself. Devontae to the Giants for first-round pick swap. They might sign Rodgers too. That's not going to happen. We're going to cut both guys, and they're going to sign wherever. They could totally end up on the Giants. I'm not saying that, but there's no way the Giants are going to do any kind of pick swap. I don't think we're getting anything out of that. Yeah, so much fun losing. No, I don't want to lose any more games. I'm so done with this. I don't care. I just want to win games at this point. Milroe, you can fix his throwing ability. You just let him sit for a couple of games, even a year. I mean, that's the talent side of things, right? Like Milroe is so physically gifted that if you think you can fix the arm or like the processing or like you can build an offense around him where he's going to be an effective NFL quarterback, it's hard not to like the guy at that point. He's just so different. Kev says, I'm down with whoever Corbett recommends at wide receiver. He was right about Ladd. Yeah, I feel like receivers just know. They know each other. They know guys that are good. JD kind of bringing up the points that Green Bean and I have mentioned in the past. If we want a first-round quarterback next year, we cannot take a quarterback before round 4. Now, I would love to see our first 4 draft picks be impactful players. Like I'm on team draft a kicker as well, not in the top 4 rounds, but like with one of our 5th or 6th, 100% on board with taking a kicker. But I would like to see our first 4 picks be able to start or fill needs. So like that could be linebacker, safety, D tackle, wide receiver, tight end. Like there's a lot of position groups that you don't necessarily need a top end first round pick to fill out. So I would agree if you're not going to take a quarterback this year or you feel like you want to take one next year, load up the roster bit, get it as strong as you can for the next guy. Ward/Dart enthusiast says Milroe to the Jets most likely. Milroe runs like Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson. He does. 4 of our 8 draft picks have to be chubbies. Well, at least 3. Hopefully they're wearing chubbies. Use my promo code. Boom. I just hope whoever we get, better get number 1 guy no matter the cost. No more settling. Yeah. Did the Jets fire all their PT medical personnel? I think they deserve to be fired after so many injury conflicts. I thought they did that in season or at the end of last year. I thought last year was fine. McCord is a good traditional pocket passer. He could possibly be a starter for a secondary quarterback most likely. I mean, look, even if you take McCord and like, let's say you take him in the 3rd round and he ends up being like a career backup, like that sucks, but it does fill a need. Like I feel like more comfortable with McCord stepping in and needing to win you some games than some other opportunities. Especially if you think he might be able to be a starter as well. Like it's like, okay, he gives you that hope of having the high upside while not costing you a 1st round pick. What are your thoughts, Ryan, on Davante Adams? I really like Davante. I don't think there's any way he's a Jet next year. I just don't get why they let it be reported they'd release him if they can't trade him. They should have said they want to keep him, even if they don't. Totally killed any trade value with that comment. No, look, Davante's contract reeks of being cut. He's like $36 million cap hit. There's no way the Jets are keeping him. Everyone and their mother knows that he's going to get cut. Hope and pray they both go to the Giants. I will enjoy every second of them making the new Jets regime look like the incompetent idiots they are. Plus, I get to root for the Giants. I don't want them to go there. I mean, I don't mind watching my friends melt down a little bit, but then if they wind up doing well, then we're going to look like a bunch of goons. I just want Rodgers to retire, let Davante go wherever he wants. I don't care. Quarterback processing issue is like hoping an Intel MacBook will edit as well as an M1 MacBook. Kev, you're speaking my language. I had the Intel MacBook a long time ago. And then I got the M1 Pro. Is that what I got? A few years back. And ooh, juggernaut. Game changer. Outlaw, the only thing about McCord that he only looks at one read when he's passing the ball, but he's pinpoint accurate on certain passes. I mean, you cannot telegraph your passes. That's a big no-no. We did have a meeting with that kicker from Florida State. We did. And he also kicked a 60-yarder too, if I'm not mistaken. How good's next year's class outside of Arch Manning? There's a lot of really good quarterbacks coming out. I think there's like 5 top dudes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeti free plug. I don't know what I was talking about. That got the free plug. I don't really want a run-first quarterback. I want a mobile quarterback that has a big body that can make throws from a pressure pocket. I feel like Howard or Dart fit that bill more. Dart is probably the most appealing option, but also equally as terrifying because of his like similarities to Zach Wilson. Which, hey, his brother's name is Diesel, which is like kind of a crazy thing as well. Not that has anything to do with him being a quarterback, but just a funny note that I heard. Not even sure Manning's coming out next year. It's like Allard, Nussmeier, Sellers, better than any quarterback in this class. Jackson Dart has a lot of speed. He doesn't really use it, though. What's your draft look like from 1 to 7? My positions is first wide receiver, tight end, second D tackle, O tackle, third safety, cornerback, fourth quarterback, fifth D end. So I am hoping that the Jets get a pass catcher, whether it's tight end or wide receiver, with the 7 pick. That's what I'd like to see. If they wanted to go another route, edge rusher would probably be my preference. Mike Green is a really appealing option, assuming Abdul Carter goes 2 or 4. RTS, what's your thoughts on Tyler Show quarterback draft? I honestly, I don't know enough about him. I wish I could give you a little bit more of a good answer. Let's see. I know he's the Louisville kid. I just don't know much about him. Let's see. Draft Network. What are they saying about him? 6'5", 225, 4-star recruit. They say what round he's projected in? Day 2, adequate starter. I don't know. I got to watch him to actually like get a better feel for him. I haven't been like super. I mean, I'm dialed into the quarterbacks, but I just like there's so many day 2 quarterbacks that I feel like I could see the Jets going any direction. Like without having any sort of like knowledge on their mindset. It's the first year of a regime is so hard to gauge. Unfortunately, Devontae is going to get cut. I'm going to be so happy when we cut Lazard. Yeah. If you can build your ideal quarterback, who would you include? Marino's accuracy, Lamar's legs. Yes, that's probably as good as you can get. How much cap space do the Jets have to work with? After you cut Devontae, I think we're sitting somewhere around $50 million. You're going to June 1st cut Rodgers and Lazard, and then you get a lot of that money back after June 1st. So that's when you start talking about like your restructures and extensions. So figure somewhere in the 50-ish range. Manning, Allard, Lamaliva, Nussmeier, Sellers, all are now considered top quarterbacks for next season. There's some other interesting guys that could rise too. Yeah, and those things could change too, because Ewers, I think, was supposed to be the top quarterback this year by most metric. I shouldn't say most metrics, but assuming going into like this time last year, a lot of people thought Ewers would be a lot higher than he is. Kev says, I wouldn't mind trading down. Pick a D tackle or an offensive tackle. Dynasties are built inside out. I just don't want to spend all that money on the line. I'd rather like hit on some mid-round guys too. Strong, tough in pocket, needs to speed up his release and decision-making. Bigger Mac Jones. I don't want big Mac Jones. I don't like Mac Jones. Just kicks people in bad places. Is it true that we are stealing Holland from the Dolphins? I saw, rumors and rumblings of that. I think that the Jets are going to be in play for a safety, whether it's Holland or someone else. I always like the idea of pulling someone away from a division rival because there's a little extra zest for that player for 2 games a year. What's it going to cost you, though? Is it going to cost you $20 million a year? I don't know how much I really want to spend that much on a safety, but I think we do go big game hunting in the safety room. Allard needs to improve. He did not look great in the playoffs. No, he didn't look great. His first game was fine. His second game was bad. John, if the Jets did take Milroe, where would we take him? I'm reading some reports. I think the Jets really like him. I think if you're going to take him, you're going to take him at 7, unless you're cool with not getting him potentially and hoping he's there in the second. If that's the hope, then you probably want to trade up. Or it's just all smoke, and it's just a ton of smoke screen season for us. Who knows? The personality of Milroe does seem to align with Aaron Glenn's. I just don't know if the offensive play does. Like if they're looking for a Goff-esque quarterback, I feel like that's closer to McCord than it is to Milroe. What is this draft deep in? Really deep in defensive tackles, really deep in like tight ends, like a few positions that the Jets need. Tight ends one I really, really want to see. Want to see taken high. All right. We're at the hour mark. It's like 11:30. I got work in the morning. So real quick thoughts, recapping some of this. Jets talking about the number 1 potential pick, called up, preliminary talks. I don't think they're going to make any sort of jump up that high. Fields, Mariota, Wentz, rumored to be the quarterbacks the Jets are considered to be going after in free agency. I like it for Fields. Mariota and Wentz, probably a little less so. Milroe was pulled aside by Charles London, the Jets quarterback coach, while other quarterbacks were running the 40. Interesting. What were they having discussions about? Milroe, father, I believe, or at least family, has military type ties. I feel like a regimented guy that was under Saban's wing that now is coming to the NFL, where the Jets are a head coach who had Bill Parcells, that had very, very close ties to both Saban and Belichick. It's possible. And if we're looking at like a Fields, like if that's the direction they're kind of thinking for the quarterback in the vet market, like I feel like Milroe does sort of kind of make some sense. Sherwood, I think he's going to be tough to retain. Love to keep him. Oliver seems like someone the Jets are going to prioritize. Probably won't cost you a whole heck of a lot. He played for Wilkes in San Francisco. Would love to see him brought back. And then Conklin and Reed, more than likely leaving. Reed seemed to be the most logical to leave. I think he's earned a big contract. And then I think Conklin, while I wouldn't mind him coming back, is more of just like I would not want him taking snaps away from a young rookie tight end that we draft. That's probably where I'd land on Conklin. Jets going to have some holes to fill. Got some holes to fill. Boys and girls, one last time, thank you to BetUS. Get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Steelers, favorites in the house to have Aaron Rodgers under center for week 1 next year. Let them know where you think the signal caller is going to be. I'm kind of hoping he retires. I don't want to see him play in the NFL next year. I don't want to have that chance that he might be good, even though he's not on our team. I just don't want to have that same old Jets sort of situation again. So, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Boys and girls, do you want Milroe? Do you not want Milroe? I'll be here tomorrow. We'll do a call-in show from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And then I'm going to be live with Tigo 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock over on the Talking Jets channel because Dom's got a prior commitment. And then I think Dom is going to be live. Is he alive? Dom, are you going to be live? Are you still in here? Might be live 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock with Green Bean. But I will definitely not have Dom for the Talking Jets show tomorrow. It will be Tigo with me instead. Boys and girls, I look forward to talking to you tomorrow, hearing some more thoughts and everything. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.